Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In this video, I will be talking about penetration. So, penetration is a new stat which was introduced in the Saltbreak update. I will be talking about penetration through mathematical perspective so we can understand the mechanic better. So, short disclaimer, calculation about penetration can get super complicated, just like the calculation for damage calculation. So in this video, I will try and simplify all of the calculation from the penetration to the damage calculation. So what is penetration exactly? To put it simply, penetration is a stat that makes damage dealt by your Pokemon to ignore enemies' defense or special defense stats, which I will just refer to defense stats in this video. So there are two types of penetrations, flat penetration and percentage penetration. As of the making of this video, Pokemon that has flat penetrations are Leafeon, Meowscarada, Gengar, Talonflame, Absol, and Zeraora. I couldn't find the sprite for Zeraora, so he's not present in this video. But yeah, however, Zeraora does have penetration stat. Flat penetration ignores defense stats by a flat amount. For example, at level 15, Leafeon has 60 penetration, so that means Leafeon will ignore 60 defense stats from the enemy. And also as of the making of this video, Pokemon that has percentage penetration is only Cinderace. However, we already have percentage penetration before. It was added to these several Pokemons from the Assault Break update, and that was Sixpoon. So percentage penetration ignores a percentage of enemy's defense or special defense stat. So for example, at level 15, Cinderace has 20% penetration. Now if we're talking about penetration and defense stats, the important mechanic revolving around those points is damage calculation. Before we delve deeper into the topic, we will be looking at the damage calculation to better understand how penetration works against defense stats. The formula for damage calculation is pretty simple. So, damage formula from the moves or attack times 600 divided by 600 plus defense stats. That will give you the damage taken. To put the formula into play, I will be using 1000 figures to simplify the calculation. So we can see that with 100 defense, the damage taken will be 557. 200 defense, 750 damage taken. 400 defense will be 600 damage taken. So this means defense stat has a diminishing return. Even if you double the defense stat, your damage taken won't be halved. Now, please look at 250 defense because all what Pokemon has that amount of defense stats. So with 250 defense, the wild Pokemon will receive reduced damage of 706 damage taken. Now with penetration introduced into the whole calculation, the formula will be damage times 600 divided by 600 plus defense minus penetration. For example, here I will be using 20, 40, 60, and 80 flat penetrations. Because of the penetration, the damage taken is increased. Using 250 defense as an example, instead of 706 damage taken, with 20 penetrations it becomes 723 damage taken. With 400 it becomes 741 damage taken. With 60 penetrations it becomes 759 damage taken. And with 80 penetrations it becomes 779 damage taken. The higher the penetration, the higher as well the damage will be. Now to put this to perspective, this was also mentioned by the devs in their patch note. So flat penetration works better against lower defense Pokemon like attackers or speedsters, While it also works against tankier Pokemon, the increased damage is not as much as when you're comparing it to the less tankier Pokemon. For example, at a 100 defense and 80 penetrations, the damage increase is 11.43%. But when you're comparing it with 550 defense and 80 penetrations, the damage increase is 6.96%. So the higher it is, the lower the damage increase will be. Now we are getting into the percentage penetration. This is the damage figure for the percentage penetration. Instead of looking at the damage figure, let's look at the damage increased instead. So, opposite of flat penetration, percentage penetration works better against Pokemon that is tankier. The tankier the Pokemon is, the more value percentage penetration gives. Meanwhile, the less tankier the Pokemon is, the less value percentage penetration gives. Let's use 20% penetration and 100 defense and against 550 defense. So with 20% penetration at 100 defense, the damage increase will be 2.86%. Meanwhile, at 550 defense, the damage increase will be 9.57%. Now that we understand the basic about penetration, let's talk about the hypothetical. The question that usually will arise will be, can we compare penetration stat and damage buff? Damage buff can come either from move buffs or stat buffs. I think the answer is we cannot. It is like comparing apple to orange. Penetration basically works around enemies' defense stat, meanwhile damage buff works around the Pokemon. If the penetration is buffed, it will affect the enemy first before the Pokemon. Same with damage buff, it will affect the Pokemon first before it affects the enemy. Alright, now to summarize this whole topic, penetration is a stat which makes your damage ignores enemies' defense stats. There are two types of penetration: flat penetration and percentage penetration. Flat penetrations offer more value against squishier Pokemon, just as the devs intended. Meanwhile, percentage penetrations offer more value against tankier Pokemon. And that's it for the video. I really hope that this video explains penetration good enough. If you have a question, feel free to ask it in the comments section. I will answer it to the best of my ability. If you enjoyed this video and find it useful, please consider dropping a like and a sub. I will really appreciate it. So before I end the video, I will share a bonus clip, and I'll see you guys around in another video. But boy, penetration sure is fun. Don't clip that out of context.